to talking to you about user journeys for some time. The theme is the power of user journeys to multiply digital impact, and we're going to focus on the concept of stewardship most this way through this talk. And I was thinking some weeks back a theme that I wanted to discuss and use as a metaphor, and that turned out to be because of our experience on the farm. We moved to a 1901 farmhouse a couple years back and have experienced much pain along the way. And the old man who lived there and died there was like 95, and the neighbors let us know he wasn't a craftsman, and we've discovered that our own self. But we've gone through a lot of pain as we try and make a house a home. And so we've put on a new roof, dug a new well, dug a septic system, and all kinds of stuff. Added a garden, and making pasture for sheep and goats and chickens and my bees and that kind of thing. And as I drove past this house a couple weeks back, I stopped and took a photo. This house I see quite often as I drive to the coffee shop in Akron to work every once in a while during the course of a week. And this house makes me think a lot of things. It makes me want to stop and find out who lives there, if anybody. I can't tell. It makes me think, how did that 1800s house that I'm sure was quite beautiful in its day, you look at some of the handiwork around the windows up top on the eaves, and it was a beautiful house at one time. Where did that change? What was the cause of the trajectory to go from a beautiful home to this? And was it, did somebody die in a war? Or was someone get amnesia and forget how to fix their home? Or what happened? And I want to use that metaphor as a foundation for our discussion right now, and to put that thought into your head about what makes the difference between a home that people enjoy, the space they want to come enjoy with you, or this, a dilapidated, haunted house, And so we're going to talk about stewarding resources. So this talk is less about how to journey map and more about the why of journey mapping. That's, I think, the most important thing. So some of you here don't even know what that means. That's fine. We're going to touch upon how to journey map. Some have tried it and haven't finished because it's a hard, arduous process. And some need to pick the process back up, start over again. And I want to encourage you to really embrace the potential that user journeys, analyzing them with journey mapping, can have a huge impact long-term to fix a house maybe, or to build a home. It just depends where you're at. And I want you to think about right now, what is the house that you are stewarding? And as you think about the concept of stewardship, it's God giving you resources, people and their valuable time, your donors' donations, the foundations that give, et cetera, all the resources that God entrusts to you as a spiritual act of worship. As our roles wherever we sit doesn't matter what we're doing, it's worship. And so I want you to think about that. What is the house, the piece of Christ's kingdom that God has given to me to steward? Being reminded that everything we have belongs to God, right? So what we'll cover, we'll talk a little bit about what is journey mapping, why it matters. We'll look at 4 data sets that you'll uncover, and then kind of 5 steps, a high-level process that you would take to journey map. What is journey mapping? In a nutshell, it's the process of mapping out the steps and experiences that users go through when interacting with your organization or your ecosystem or your house, right? The thing that you're building, the projects that you've been entrusted with, the people you've been entrusted with. As we think about journey mapping, it can be a very simple process, and it certainly can become a very complex process. I would encourage you just to start, just to wade in, because there's so much value just to even beginning the process. It's really quite amazing. I like to start, if I am blessed with being able to walk in with a team and coach them in journey mapping, to start with yellow stickies on the wall. And that's how it was introduced to me. And it's just so fun to grab a big pile of stickies, everybody you can round up in the organization, because everybody has a part, get them around the table, and just start at, okay, a new user comes to your website, now what? And just start to log, step by step by step, their process through the website, through your app, calling the customer service team on the phone, responding to an email, on and on and on. All the interaction points that people have with your organization, your ecosystem, it's vast. It's more than you could comprehend, really. You multiply that times thousands of people, and it's endless. So one tool I would suggest as you get more complex, and sorry for the error there, is called Smaply. And this is a tool that I've used for several years with different ministries. And it's a low-cost, browser-based tool. I'm not affiliated with it. It's just a tool I recommend to users. And it helps you log segments or epics of the story. You can create multiple personas and walk them through, logging step-by-step the process that they're engaging with you, their emotional state, ups and downs, the points where you need to take action items. It's just an awesome piece of software. I highly recommend it. There's going to be roadmaps however you do this, and I just encourage you, just wade through the roadmaps, or through the speed bumps, and don't give up. It's going to be worth it in the end. Why journey mapping matters? There's several items I want to talk about why it matters. First, it enables a deeper understanding of user needs and pain points. The thought that came to my mind was, as I thought about this, was unless you ask, you don't know. Unless you ask, you don't receive. Unless you ask the questions, you don't know. So there's just a body of users out there waiting for you to ask the right questions and find out what are their pain points, what excites them, why are they visiting your site, all kinds of questions to ask. Second, it helps you to identify opportunities for improvement. And this list will grow longer than you would expect as you start to wade through this exercise. You're going to find all kinds of areas to improve. Thirdly, the area that really excites me is enhancing user satisfaction. Can you just imagine going through every step of the process a user engages with your organization and asking the question, how can we exceed the average user's expectation? And what impact that would have long-term on your ministry's impact? It's probably much more than you could imagine. Then finally, it maximizes the impact of your digital initiatives or your organization-wide initiatives. It helps give you confidence that the money, the resources that you're spending and stewarding, the house that you're building, that you have confidence that you're spending money wisely, you're making wise decisions based on data, based on real-world needs that you're uncovering. It will help you steward relationships and resources. As we were driving down to St. Augustine last week to celebrate 29th anniversary on the beach, it was fun. My wife popped in an ebook, Stephen Covey's old book, 7 Habits. I'm sure most of you have read it. And it's been so long since I've read it, I was just listening like it was the first time again. It was a great exercise. And I was reminded of the 4-quadrant exercise that he has people walk through to help them make decisions, to make sure they're spending their time wisely. And just to rehearse it, the first quadrant is quadrant 1, urgent and important. You know, your boss emails you and you better do it or you're going to get fired. That's quadrant 1. Your sink is leaking, quadrant 1. It's time to go to Chick-fil-A, quadrant 1. Quadrant 2 is the most important one, and it's the one that's most neglected. That's the point of this quadrant exercise. Most people end up in 1, and when they have time after that, it's quadrant 3, more urgent stuff, but more urgent stuff that's not important, that we should be saying no to or pushing down the road. And I would submit that journey mapping is an excellent quadrant 2 exercise for your team to embrace as a regular effort, not just something you do one-off and then forget about it, but something that you incorporate maybe into your quarterly or annual planning is one way to do it, or just even task someone as your journey mapping subject matter expert and let them run with that and drive it in your organization. I would think that would be an excellent use of time and resources. So just as an aside, that's a great book to go revisit, in my opinion. 4 data sets that you'll uncover as you journey map. These are important chunks of data that I just love looking at once they start coming back to me in the process. The first is touch points, which I've talked about. The interactions between users and your platform, your ecosystem. Emails, phone calls, digital, non-digital. There's so many interaction points, and you're going to develop a huge list, a lengthy list of touch points. The second set of data would be the emotional experiences. As you map those touch points out, then you can go back and look at milestones along the way that make sense to gauge how are the users feeling at this point. Are they happy or sad? Even if it's just that, thumbs up or thumbs down, that's going to give you a lot of data. But if you can get more concrete, detailed data than that, that's even better. So emotional experience is hugely important. It's one that gets neglected quite readily from my experience. Third is pain points. As you start to see the low spots that users are finding dissatisfaction with your ecosystem, you're going to start to uncover the whys to that, the obstacles, the friction. Maybe a form doesn't work, or maybe there's a question that's not getting answered, or maybe they're expecting an email and they don't ever get it. Those are the kinds of pain points that you're going to build a set of data upon. And then lastly, opportunities. The good part is once you start fixing the problems, then you can start to focus on areas of opportunity and innovation, my favorite, and actually start to proactively extend your impact in your features or your deliverables, the experiences, whatever it might be. There's just a myriad of things you can focus on improving. So quickly, 5 steps to mapping user journeys. This is just a high-level chunked approach to journey mapping, just for a little bit of context. The first major chunk is researching and gathering user data. We've kind of alluded to that. There's great tools out there like usertesting.com. You can survey your audience, different segments. You can compile customer service feedback and analyze that and see if you can find themes, issues that are commonly spoken about. Just many ways, obviously, to gather user data. And you're doing so to, number 2, identify the personas that are most acute, the pain points, the segments that you really want to focus on first. And I would submit the tendency is to focus on donors first, but you might want to start with a new user segment first and try and look at that. That's one way to go about it. But at the end of the day, everybody's unique and different. You're going to find the set that you want to go after first. Then third, you're going to plot user journey stages and touch points. Then analyze the emotional experiences, pain points, and opportunities. After that, you get to schedule the tasks and assign them to somebody. Programmers, designers, and often you're going to need management to come back through and prioritize for you, obviously. What's most important to the ministry? What do we want to do first? What big initiatives do we want to tackle that we're seeing come to the surface? And then the hard part is to continue to polish, iterate, to schedule time to circle back with the team and both look at what's getting done just from an accountability standpoint, but also what's priority, and then what next and then to measure your success as you start to implement changes. I've seen some amazing tweaks even that come out of user journeys, journey mapping, that have a huge impact just right away. It's just phenomenal to see that when it happens. So the power of journey mapping for digital impact, I spent a little bit of time thinking through, at a high level, what are some of the benefits that you might want to communicate back to the team or to be reminded of to help encourage yourself to endeavor in such a project. There's a little bit of learning that needs to be done, a little bit of risk that needs to be done or taken upon. And some of these would be enhanced customer satisfaction. We've discussed that a little bit. That's a big one. And often, I think, second law of thermodynamics, we entropy, the longer a nonprofit exists, or any organization exists, the more quickly, the more readily it starts to serve itself rather than the end user, the customer, the donor, the content consumer on your website. So becoming customer-centric. Also, employee understanding and engagement. This one may not be apparent, but as you get everybody around the table, what happens? Conflict and questions and communication. And you start to have to align around a common set of goals and language and process. And the more you do it, the better you become at it and resolve the issues. You're going to understand your employees better. They're going to work together better over time. Obviously, you're going to identify gaps and opportunities, a big part of the process. Cross-functional alignment. You're going to get different departments that should be working together. I remember at Truth for Life working with Sarah, and who was a big customer service background. There was a lot of gaps between what digital was doing and what customer service needed, so we spent a lot of time listening to them and changing based off of feedback we got. So as you journey map, start to implement things, you're going to have better alignment across the teams. Mentioned that already, customer-centric change, measuring impact. To do this well, you're going to want to have goals in place, and it's going to force you to measure. In fact, you're going to want to measure because you're doing so much hard work. You're going to ask the question, is this worth it? What's happening? What next? And then improve customer retention is a biggie. So just want to share that. I hope it encouraged you to think about how does your what's the state of your current house, your current home? What should it look like in the future? Where do you want to go? Are you customer-centric? Are you stewarding the relationships and resources God has given you? And I hope that you consider journey mapping to help you along the way. So happy journey mapping.